Who wants to start?
I'm just trying.
Camera behind you guys.
Normal arch.
I like
Something that you guys can also say, kind of look at is where is your center of mass with a relation to base of support?
Yeah, so I asked Masada about like, the 3-inch thing, and he said you either need to pick the 3-inch thing or are your feet aligned with your hip, and like that's what you do.
Yeah.
You can't go back and forth between. So whatever is easier for you to visualize is what you go with.
So feet in line with the hip, would that be?
Yeah, like feet width apart.
That'd be normal
That's normal.
then, yeah?
That's normal.
Yeah.
If you verbalize it that way, then your CI will at least know it's like, oh, okay,
Alright, so
that's
then
what
she is normal then, yeah?
Yeah.
But then, like, if you still say like, oh, you know, like, oh, normal base of support is 3 inches.
I
Then
feel like 3 inches is like.
It's so tiny.
Yeah, it's super tiny. So I just say like feet in line with the hip.
I personally do hips width. I know people.
So it's
will-
normal.
People will be normal.
She's normal.
Okay.
What about her?
The right one is everted.
Okay, yeah, I thought, okay, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, left one's inverted.
And then to confirm that,
Oh,
you
you
can
said
look at
left?
you can look like
Left
landmarks,
and
right?
right.
For
Yeah, both of them
so
are
inverted.
left.
So inverted.
I think it looks
The left one's
Or
definitely
like
inverted.
It looks inverted.
So if you were to say,
There's a camera, guys.
Maybe I need to come.
There's a camera.
Yeah.
or you can say like there's
Should we
bilateral.
do aerial view?
I don't want to move.
I was
It's
like,
not
this is normal.
Hey, this is a deep ass one. Shit.
No, you're good.
Miles.
As long as you can do it.
Miles.
It's so funny
Yeah,
because in the
it's
camera,
just-
she's gonna get like the back of your head.
That's why I'm backing that thing up into the camera, man. Like,
My bad.
That point of view.
This ain't a.
Like, sorry.
How do you eye a normal
Flash,
arch
man.
or an arch?
A normal arch.
Yeah.
So then
This
like,
is
that's
a
something
juvenile
that you're gonna
video.
have to kind of keep track of as you go from like a posterior. Like, oh, okay, I can see the arch, but as I'm moving laterally, here I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
Like make a quick note of it and then just like work up the chain, right?
Yeah.
Because then like you guys are being taught right now how to systematically go up the body, but then in real life when you're actually doing that posture
can actually
analysis,
go around.
you're probably gonna stand like one place, maybe stand at another, but then you have to be able to catch it all right there. Right. So right now as you guys are learning it, definitely learn it step by step. So don't be afraid to kind of like, oh okay, I see. Right. Okay. But then like when it comes time to you guys actually doing your practical, you'll want to be able to do it in like a snapshot. Right. So
Would you
if
say
I were to look at your center of mass looks a little
right
bit
face?
over your base of support.
From a lateral
Are you talking
view?
about both?
From a lateral view or from a?
If I'm from here, it looks like her center of mass is a little forward. Right? Does it look like kind of like a little forward a little bit?
Oh shoot, I keep
Yeah,
hitting the camera.
Like, stuck in this area.
Rico, it seems a little
Tiny bit.
I thought she was a little bit further back.
maybe a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Wait, sorry, what did you
Look
say?
at the door.
So like your center of mass is kind of like a little bit.
Is that what you're going off of?
So
There's
you look at this angle. Sorry, let me.
right. So if you look really
Just
in
kind of
general,
slightly
her feet
kind
are
of like
here, and her body's here, but it's kind of like
So that's forward a little bit.
on the front, just a little bit.
Is that why her
So she's more.
leg is hyperextended?
Yeah.
One of my legs is
Yeah?
longer than the other.
I get. Oh,
Right leg looks more bent than the left.
is it the right? Is the right leg one?
Hyperextended. Definitely hyperextended. That's why I was looking at that feet dorsiflexion at the seat.
So
It looks like
your
it's
right
a
leg.
little bit-
No, everyone's just
It's
gonna
more
start
than 10 degrees.
Right hand, right longer than the left.
My left, yeah, my left is longer. No,
Your left is longer than the right.
That means you're doing that.
right.
We're all staring at Taylor and judging.
You can look at.
Sorry.
That's maybe you look at it.
Where's your right foot at? Is it your right foot that's longer? Damn.
That would make sense if you're doing this. If you're doing that.
Oh, I see. Oh yeah, standing further back.
So would that mean
Because her knee is right here.
Oh!
On the right side is high.
it curves over to your feet?
Instead of coming straight back like this, you know, kind of
The internal rotating. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So the knees are
Medial.
Yeah, so the medial. Right.
Here,
I can-
So it's internal rotation of the
You're
femur,
the camera
right?
lady? Okay.
Yeah.
It's internal
That's
rotation,
it.
but it's the
Oh, the
planes
left or the
are
right
pointing
side?
out. The plane is actually going outwards, right?
Usually the plane of like the popliteal
So
plate
look
is
at the- yeah,
comes
the
straight
popliteal
back,
crease
right?
right now.
Otherwise, I see what you're saying. This going.
Do you mind repeating that?
It's like internally rotated. Is that what you guys said?
Like this?
Like
this?
So if you were to compare that left to right, how would you guys say?
Right greater than left?
And my left hip is high.
Because that means your left leg would be longer because it's pushing it higher. No, so you said it right. You said it right then.
I think
I can see that.
Put your hands on your crest here, just so you can press it. Or else it.
The left heel is normal, but the right one's definitely inverted.
Yeah. Are we talking left or right?
Right.
Especially if she says that
Okay,
the
yeah,
left
that's what I
one's
was thinking.
longer, so it's gonna
Yeah.
go this way now. I don't know.
It could be the situation where Taylor, do you tend to, when you shift your weight, do you typically put your weight on your right leg?
no, I
Like,
think I said
mostly on your left?
Mostly on your left. You're right-handed though, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Say no.
So my hypothesis was wrong. That's
So
okay.
what was your hypothesis? Because of the hip?
Yeah, what did you say?
So I was thinking that like if your leg on the left side was a little longer, you probably rest on your right side of. Do you? No. It's okay if you don't.
I don't really know.
That's okay.
I think I left on my left side more, but
Okay, that's fair.
I don't pay attention.
Okay. So I agree with you guys there. She is internally rotated at the femur, right more than left. Okay, so Goe, is there anything else you guys want to call out before we go up? Did you guys call out her ankle yet?
You already said like her ankles were everted. Right?
Everted.
Yeah.
Barefoot.
Very.
Okay, so her
Ankle is gonna be
her
dorsey.
rear
Rear
foot
foot is even.
her rear foot is everted.
But her ankle is
That's what
dorsey,
we-
right?
Huh?
Her ankle. Her ankle is dorsey,
Well, you
right?
can't see that until the lateral view, right? For the
Yeah,
dorsal
yeah.
ladder.
Oh,
But
you guys saw it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because her forefoot was normal, right?
Forefoot?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
forefoot's
see-
normal.
When I'm standing
No,
here,
you're
I
good,
see a
you're good.
positive toe sign on the right.
I see 3 toes on the right.
Oh, okay. I haven't looked that way.
So then does that mean,
But I mean, isn't it on the
is
left
that
side?
correlated
You
with
actually shift it,
pronation?
No, you're
Or is
good.
it just
Oh yeah, no.
because it's inverted?
Two toes is okay, right? So
I would-
when
I
have
would
more
agree
than
with that.
2 toes. Because when I'm standing here, I can already see her toe.
Ah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Because it's slightly abducted on her right side.
I'm trying to see through you right now.
So that the right, so you would say, yeah,
So-
how do you say that?
So positive and negative, does that just mean positive abduction, negative abduction?
If there's no toe sign, I wouldn't even call it out, right? I'll be like, oh, okay, bilateral eversion more on the right, positive toe sign on the right.
Positive, that's what it was.
Positive.
Positive is
If more than
reduction.
Just more toes, basically.
more toes, okay.
Make it easier.
When you see, it's like when you see the pinky toe and the ring toe. I'll call it the ring toe.
I'm
You're
sorry.
good.
I'm sorry.
So you can see those two, but then you can start seeing like the middle toe or more than that. You'll know that her feet are out. Yeah, they're played out.
That's positive toe sign.
Yeah. When
So-
you see more than 2.
So more than 2 feet, positive toe sign. Less than that, negative toe sign,
No, there's no negative toe sign.
or just positive.
toes total?
More than 2 toes.
Total. Or on either side?
Well, just the side that you see more toes on, right?
Oh, okay.
So on this side, if you stand right here, right, I see a positive toe sign on the right.
So is toe sign from like forefoot abduction or
No, I see 3.
or is that not correlated at all?
There can be a slight correlation because if someone is calcaneal everted, most likely their toes will be, or most likely their foot will be pronated, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be like more like midfoot pronated, and then that can predispose her to kind of spread her toes out towards the sides. Yeah. Cool. Okay, and then you guys said dorsiflexion. Is that what I heard at the ankle?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's lateral.
Wait. Is it?
Is that lateral view when you see dorsiflexion? Or?
You can, yeah, but yeah. Thank you, Taylor.
Oh, then no.
It looks like a little counterflex. It looks,
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking too.
because it looks straight.
Plantar flex?
Yeah, it looks a little bit more straight than a.
Yeah.
It's too
Not
straight.
normal.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Can you walk in place one more time? And then just go ahead and look forward. All right, what do you see now?
Well, then you look
Sorry
at the
if
three
I'm
landmarks, right? So like the
yeah, wouldn't it be
fibular
more
head.
stand like this?
I don't know.
So if I look here, so that's one.
Oh, it is plantar.
right here and here.
Just to bend his leg.
So her foot goes
So
down.
it is
the
more
leg.
fun. Yeah.
Are you okay, Taylor?
Yeah, did you notice about yourself?
Okay, so when she's plantar flexed, and then what do you guys see at the knee?
Hyperextension.
Yeah.
What's the terminology for that one?
It depends.
Genu.
Can you?
Oh, there's a term for
Verum.
that?
Valgus. Verum.
This would be valgus. This would be
It
varus.
says genu verum, run
Versus-
bottle between your knees, and then.
Versus if you were hyperextended.
What's the
I don't know
term
if
for
they.
that?
I don't know
I
if they
thought
taught
it
you
was
it.
just
I thought it was hyper.
What
They
is-
call it genu recurvatum.
No, I
It is.
Yeah,
no.
we-
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
That's fine.
that.
That's fine. So you can say, okay, there's a
Gaudium
hyperextension.
leviosa.
And that's because you line it up with the plumb line, right? And because my knee
Starts
is
floating.
more back.
Yeah. So then, if it were a plumb line, usually it would go like right
Oh,
at
yeah,
the knee
the-
joint. If it were to go straight up and down, but then if you're go ahead and stand as you are, right, her knee is a little bit behind that plumb line, right?
Ah.
That makes sense. So that's why it would be hyperextension.
Yeah. So you know that her knee is behind that plumb line.
So it's kind of like the knees behind the plumb line, it's usually hyperextension. Whereas if it's above the plumb line, it's usually like.
If it's like usually it would like fall in line with it.
So
Okay.
hyperextended pose.
Plantar. It was a slight plantar
plantar.
flexion.
Slight.
Slight. Yeah. Okay. And then moving up into the hip pelvis region. How do you guys feel?
Okay, put your hands down.
So for the hips, we're trying to see if there's an anterior or posterior tilt.
Okay.
Remember, this is when they use the example on me. So like they use the landmarks would just be the ASIS, the PSIS, but then normally we're in anterior tilt. So don't
So,
So we are in.
when you do the hip and the pelvis, can you do it all together? Or is like the hips is like looking for symmetry and the front symmetry in the back, and the pelvis is looking for the tilt?
Yeah. So like, it depends on how you look at the pelvis, right? So then if I'm gonna talk about pelvis in the frontal plane, right? It's gonna be all right. Which side am I hiking my hip up on? But then if I were to talk about my hip versus my pelvis, right? Because then technically my hip is this joint right here,
Okay.
right? So then if I were anteriorly tilted, I'm technically flexed at the hip,
Okay, that makes sense.
right? And then so then we typically see for the pelvis, we see how many degrees?
10.
Yes, good. So we see 10 degrees. This is technically normal. So if I'm at 0, I am at a relative posterior tilt. Right? So here's my ASIS. I'm just palpating it right here, right? So here, right? So I'm supposed to be at 10, right? Right. So if someone stuck a goni up to me right now,
Okay.
right?
Ah, yes.
Right. So like I'm down inclined at a 10 degrees. That's technically normal. Right? Versus if I'm at 0, I'm at a
That
relative
means-
posterior tilt.
Gotcha.
And then that
Means
means your hip
lordosis.
is naturally extended.
Or
do you even call out the hip?
You can say that, but I wouldn't draw that. I wouldn't draw that
Oh.
conclusion just yet.
Okay.
Just call out the pelvis as it is, right?
Gotcha.
So pelvic, anterior, posterior tilt, and then from there you start moving into lumbar spinal lordosis.
So that's when you would say, so it's like the lumbar, like increase or decrease lumbar lordosis, and then you go up to like increase, decrease, thoracic kyphosis, and then up is the cervical lordosis, and then that's when you see like the head
Flexion, extension,
okay.
lateral.
Okay. Cool. So let's do your back. Spine.
Yeah. So now walk in place.
So now we're going up
straight
now.
ahead.
We're going with our spine. Actually, I'm gonna jump.
You see that slight lordosis of her lumbar spine.
Right. Yeah. You see a slight lordosis, right? But then is that normal?
Right. So we're trying to stay away from slight, right? Don't say slight because they're gonna be like, is it this or is it
Yeah.
not?
Is it or is it not?
So just say lordosis.
So in that case,
Everyone
you
will
wouldn't
have
say
everyone will
anything.
have a lordotic curve, but
Right.
then you're gonna call out if it's increase or decrease.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, I see.
And you have to be
I can
you have to
see
be
it.
specific,
Right?
like
I was
lumbar
like, she
lordosis,
has one, but it's
thoracic.
extreme, so
If it's like more posterior, that means it would be.
it's always funny talking about someone like this and you look at you.
Increase lumbar lordosis.
They're like,
Holy fuck, I understand.
Yeah. So then you don't really think of the hips so much. You think of like the pelvis itself. You don't, yeah, like lateral flexion you won't really see as much. I mean, like, yeah, you can call it out if you really notice it. But I think as you guys start learning posture analysis, like, it'll mostly have to do with either anterior, posterior tilt, and then if there's like a hip hike on one side. Like if one side is higher than the other.
So because well, one side is higher should be around for
Okay.
Well, I can't really hide.
So then you would expect to see that her left hip would be higher than her right hip. Taylor, do you mind if I palpate your PSIS?
Sure.
Go ahead and face the leg, please. Right, so then if I were to palpate here, right, so here's right here. So right there, does that look, how does that look?
The
the left is higher.
That makes sense, right? I mean, of course, it's going to be very hard to see when she has her clothes on and everything, but then, so that's why with posture analysis, you call out what you see.
That's why
Just
you
call
can't-
it out, be confident with it. Call out what you see, be confident with it. Yeah. And then, yeah, for sure. And then what you can't see, you palpate. Confirm.
Do you usually just, when you're doing your analysis, do you just do like one rotation, or are you constantly like going back and forth, back and forth?
When you're practicing, it's understandable that you'll have to go back and forth, because then sometimes you'll be like, oh shit, I forgot something up there. Like, oh god, okay, I have to go back there, right? But then obviously you're not going to do that during the practical, right? So practical, what they really want to see is that you do your posture analysis in a structured way, so that one, you don't forget anything, and two, you don't waste your time in because you have a specific time slot, right? You are timed on doing posture analysis. So then it's like, so that one, you're efficient and you're quick with it, you get it done, you move on to your next skill,
Right.
and you don't miss anything as you're going on.
Gotcha. Okay.
Did you guys do like upper extremity posture stuff yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they want us to go harder, even though it's kind of like annoying to go change views a lot.
Yeah, like you'll have to do it here and there, but like you're not gonna do 360s in a Macarena around your patient.
Okay. So do we want to kind of go over the order that we have to follow so we don't forget?
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Right, so okay, so what do you start off with first, right?
Well, we usually start off with basis support.
Right, basic support, center of mass, boom, that's one.
Right there. Then from there you start from how like your ankles, so you look at rear foot, front foot, mid foot.
So I do basic support, right? I start rear foot and I work my way to the tip of the toes. Right, after I'm done with my toes, now I can work my way up the calf, check the calf girth, make sure they're both the same. I can go up to my knees, right? Knees, I check, all right, is anything internally, externally rotated? Are knees coming together or are they apart? You know, genu valgum versus verum. Right, and then I can also check, all right, is there any hyperextension, flexion at the knee? Moving my way up to the femur, right? Are they internally, externally rotated, right? And moving up to my pelvis, right? Is there, are they level? Is one side higher versus the other? I check, is it tilted, right? That leads me into my lumbar lordosis, going into my thoracic kyphosis, cervical lordosis with capital extension flexion, and then I can work my way into the scapula, into the forearms, whether they're going in or out. Oh yeah, go ahead, sorry. Then I'll be here. So I'll be here. Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Where's your water?
Do you need water?
I don't know. All of a sudden.
It's this one, right, Timmy?
Deep breaths.
And
Right, so then you're going from the scapula, the positioning, the rotation, into the humeral internal, external rotation, however you want to call it. And then you do like forearm pronation, and then hand position. And then the hand, right, whether if the hands are like always clenched or if they kind of relax or kind of, for sure. And then you kind of just finish off.
Sweet. Thank you.
How are you doing?
Extra shirt just in case we should.
I think